I hit the unmute button. There. Now can you hear me? Now you can hear me. Okay. I thought I hit my unmute button. I guess I missed it. Stop calling. I know I'm thank you for trying to continue to reach me though. When this phone's ringing and then that phone's ringing, I know well something must be wrong here. And I cannot see my notes. I can't see my notes unless I look off my screen. I'm going to try to set up next week to where my screen that I'm using is going to be right behind me, so I'll be able to glance at comments without having to look away, because I don't like to look away. So I apologize about all that. So let me start over again. Welcome, friends and members of Maranatha. Oh, hey, we're not professionals, not by a long shot. Okay, everybody happy now? I'm back online. I'm talking. You can hear me. Can everybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up, somebody. Can you hear me? Let me see here. Am I on? Okay. Yes. You can hear me? Somebody say yes. Edwin, is that you saying yes? Yes, you can hear me? Okay. All right. So here's what I was saying. We had a great time in service. Nobody could read my lips? Do we not? You don't know what I was saying? Okay. We had a great time in service this past Sunday. Everything went well. We're still making a few improvements even this week. So there'll be a few more things coming up when you get back in church this coming Sunday. I don't know that I'm going to get to everything that needs to be done. And what I said earlier was I'm not going to point out what needs to be done, because if you didn't notice them, I don't want you to start looking at the things that I didn't get done yet. And there are some things that there's still a couple spots we need to patch up, and we need to paint, we need to fix. So we're working on those things. We're getting there. But the building, I thank you for all of the comments and the compliments that you gave me, and those that helped me, and the improvements we made in the building. We're still working on it. We did have a little bit of a trouble with our sound system, of course. Obviously, we always have sound system troubles, even worse so when everything was cleared off that platform for months, including all of the wiring. Everything got torn out of there. And so when we put it all back together, obviously things aren't going to sync right away. And we're working on that. Plus, my chief sound person, which is my daughter Shoshana, who does such a phenomenal job with our sound and getting the quality sound that we look for. She could not come to church. She was going in for some surgery. She had to have some surgery after the baby's born. Her gallbladder had to come out, and so she was not able to come this past week because she was quarantined. She had a COVID testing. Her testing came back negative, but she had to stay quarantined until her surgery, which overlapped this past Sunday. And now she's going to be out for 2 more Sundays. And that is simply because they told her that her immune system is compromised, having been through the surgery. And so she needs to take another 14 days now and stay not completely quarantined, but she certainly can't come into church where there's a number of people. She can come with a few family members here and there, but she can't come to church. So for the next 2 services, Sister Shoshana and the baby still cannot come. So we're going to muddle through. I'm going to do the best I can with the sound, and we're going to get everything together. We do have some more new sound equipment coming in. I've contacted a sound engineer, and he has recommended some things that we do. I sent him pictures and dimensions of our building, and so we're really trying to. I want to have the best possible sound. I want to have professional sound. I want to have quality sound. I want it so that anybody can walk into our building, young, old, and everybody in between, and be able to enjoy the service and be blessed by the service. And that's why many of the changes we did make for that reason. All of that said, we had the 2 services. We had Sunday at 8:30 and we had 10:30. By the way, Sister Jennifer McCurry is going to be our 8:30 service musician. She is not going to be for the next couple of weeks. Now, she was out of town. That's why she was not here this past week. She was out of town. She had that vacation scheduled long before we knew when we were going to be able to get back in the building. And lo and behold, we were able to get back in the building. And she called me immediately and was willing to cancel her trip to be in church. I said, Jen, take your vacation. God bless you. Go and enjoy yourself. We'll survive the first week without you. It turns out it's going to be more than the first week, because she happened to be in one of the states that while she was there, Governor Cuomo decided that needs to be a state that people coming in from have to be quarantined. So she's she's home now, but on a 14-day quarantine. And I think the first service, is July 12th, a Sunday. It's whatever's near the 12th. That's going to be the Sunday back. She'll be doing our 8:30 service for us. And then she asked if she could stay and play with Jameson and the rest of the band at 10:30. So she'll be there at 10:30. Also, we'll have the full band at 10:30. It'll be Jen at 8:30. Not that Jen is a downgrade by any stretch of the imagination. My goal, the way I'm believing God that this is going to keep growing. We're not going to go back to one service, even when COVID is long gone. We're going to keep trying to build up both services. And I'm going to trust that God's going to send in all the musicians we need for Jen to put together a full ensemble of musicians for our 8:30 service as well. That said, we did have some problems, and I don't remember if I talked about this before or after I was muted, so excuse me if I did, but we did have some sound problems this past week, and that was because we had everything torn off the platform, and all the wiring was torn off. We got it all back together, and we had one quick half-hour session to try to get things working. We still had a little bit of trouble. We'll get there. Shoshana will be back in a couple of weeks, and we'll make it. We'll survive, because we are survivors. Amen? Now, our 8:30 service, we asked for 55 and older to come to our 8:30 service, and 55 and under to come to our 10:30 service. Not hardened and fast rules. If you couldn't make it, you're free to go. But we tried to use that as a guideline. This past week, we found out that there are some over 55s that it's much more convenient to come to the 10:30 service, and that's because their children and the grandchildren go to church at 10:30, and they obviously want to be in church with their children and grandchildren. So several over 55s came to the 10:30 service. No under 55s came to the 8:30 service, but I did find out that there are several people who are under 55 who the 8:30 service actually works out better for their schedule. And the question was posed to me, is it possible that some of these people could come to the early service? Because it worked out so well, and it looks like, we'll still try to have these fuzzy guidelines, 55 and over 8:30, 55 and under 10:30. Let's keep that fuzzy. If your schedule is such that it is easier for you to come at 8:30 and you are under 55, there's plenty of room. We have plenty of room at our 8:30 service. We were well under the 100-person threshold, and we were under the 100-person threshold at 10:30 also. We're doing great. And so I'm going to just say, come to the service that is most convenient for your schedule. If it's 8:30, come. If it's 10:30, come. And I do want to thank the people that, for the time being, at least until we can get new people trained and all that stuff, for the people that are behind the scenes staying for both services. I know my grandson Isaac was there for both services, running our video overheads and helping with the video, the actual video shooting. I know, of course, Brother Jameson, Sister Erica stayed for both services. And we appreciate that so much. Suzanne Mucci to get the greet staff. She was there for both services, and I think she's planning on doing that maybe for a little bit until she makes sure everything is working properly. And I just thank you, all of you, for your willingness to make sacrifices. I did put a couple of statements up on our new announcement monitors that are in the back, talking about serving, talking about giving. One of the statements, and I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what it said, but basically it said people who give and sacrifice their time or their talents, they don't do it because they have the time. They do it because they have the heart. None of us has time. We're all short of time, but we've got to have the heart to want to give and want to sacrifice. So I want to thank all of you that were willing and that did stay for both services. Some came in for the morning service, but they stayed until the 8:30 service, but they stayed in between services to help clean up. And I just want to thank you for all of that. Several of our greeters and parking lot attendants stayed for both services. And I hope we grow to the point where we can have a complete different set for everything. But I just want to thank all of you for the sacrifice you're making, the willingness you are making for our services. I thought we had a great time. It was great to see everybody. It was wonderful to see everybody. So let me read something I came across that I found interesting. It's not that we're going to change a thing, but it was interesting. And it was an article I came across that said this. It said a federal judge rules Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio exceeded their authority by restricting religious services while condoning protest. All right. So what happened was, as you know, the protests, coronavirus got thrown out the window when all the protesting started. Now, this is not a for or against protesting or the reasons that people were protesting. We're not talking about that this evening. But this became a religious issue here because Cuomo and de Blasio were taken to court over this by Jewish commission and a Catholic commission in New York City. Let me read you a couple of things. I find it interesting. U.S. District Judge Gary Sharp granted preliminary injunction blocking New York from enforcing its stringent coronavirus restrictions on religious services. So they're blocked. We could all of us come. We could pack our building out right now, and they can't bring charges against us. We're not going to. We're not going to do that. Why am I not going to do that? Because I don't think it's safe right now. And just because someone else got to do something, the protesters got to go out in the streets by the thousands without masks, most of them without masks, shoulder to shoulder. And well, they can do it. We can do it. Well, we could do it. And I'm going to tell you something else. I'm not sure we're ever going to get accurate numbers as to how many are getting sick. I think if churches rebelled and churches packed their churches out, I think they would look for coronavirus cases and blame churches for an increase. I don't think you're going to see that happen over the protests. I actually think you're going to see them try to hide. If there is a spike, they're going to try to hide it or blame it on other things. The protests won't be mentioned. But what happened? But what I'm saying is we could, because they can't bring any injunctions against the church if they go above 25%. The state's current restrictions require houses of worship to operate at 25% capacity and later at 33% capacity when New York enters phase 4. We're never going to have to worry about that. We're going to keep running 2 services, and we're going to keep growing those 2 services. And by the time either of those 2 services are above 33% capacity, we hold 400. So 33 capacity is going to be what, 125, 130 people, somewhere in there. I long for the day, and I hope it's not too far away, that we have 130 come into both services, and 150 and 200 coming in each service. I think that would be a beautiful thing. We're not there yet. We're not going to have to worry about breaking any of these. De Blasio, I'm just reading. That's why I refer to him as de Blasio, not Mayor de Blasio. I'm just reading the thing here. I'm not usually that disrespectful. De Blasio issued simultaneous protest anti-religious gathering messages and actively encouraged participation in protests and openly discouraged religious gatherings and threatened religious worshipers. Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio could have just as easily discouraged protests short of condemning their message. So you can say, look, I understand your message, but there's a pandemic. We don't want you to die. We don't want any more deaths going on. They easily could have condoned the message without condoning the actions being taken. Sharp wrote, they could have also been silent, but so in other words, they didn't just stand back and say nothing. They could have even just said nothing, but they didn't. They actually encouraged the protesting. But by acting as they did, Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio sent a clear message that mass protests are deserving of preferential treatment. That's what they're being accused of. So 2 Catholic priests, I won't try to mention their names. I'm going to mispronounce them anyway, along with 3 Orthodox Jewish congregants. And again, I'm not going to try to pronounce their names so that I don't do them any injustice. Allege that the state's response to the coronavirus pandemic violated the constitutional rights of religious New Yorkers. The lawsuit also named State Attorney General Letitia James as a defendant. It claims that the governor, mayor, and attorney general violated the First Amendment and due process rights of plaintiffs by selectively enforcing pandemic control measures. I'm not going to read this whole article, but, you know, we could say, hey, forget it. They can protest. We're going to church. My mother always taught me 2 wrongs don't make a right. And just because they did something wrong and they risked their lives and the lives of many others doesn't mean we should. So we're going to continue to do the right thing, which we are doing. And we can still be blessed. And I was blessed. I trust you were blessed on Sunday by our services and to feel the presence of God. Oh, did I feel the presence of God when we started lifting our hands and worshiping the Lord, and the presence of God was there and the power of God was manifested, and you could feel him. At the 8:30 service, it was just Jameson and Erica singing very simply. but oh, did we feel God? You know, it's not how many people are on the stage singing and worshiping, and how many musicians we have up there. At 10:30, we added in we had Jameson and Erica, and then we added in Danny on his guitar and his horn, and Matt McCurry on his horn, and Brother Stephen McCoy was on the drums. So we had a bigger group on the platform. I did not feel more of God in the 10:30 service than I did in the 8:30 service. I want you to know that. When I felt God in that 8:30 service, it moved me. It made me shudder. It was such a blessing, and I trust you feel the same way. And I'm saying that because I don't believe we're going to feel less of God because Jen McCurry is going to be doing our worship service at 8:30 by herself before we start growing an 8:30 music team. Until then, Jen's going to carry the load on her shoulders by herself. I think it's not how many are on the stage playing instruments. It's 2 or 3 gathered together to praise his name and worship him. We had a great service. I'm looking forward to great services this coming Sunday. Why don't you invite somebody? We did some visitors this past Sunday. Why don't you invite somebody to come with you? Why don't you reach out? Why don't you tell them about our YouTube services, that our services, even though we're live now in the building, we're still putting them up on YouTube. Encourage people to watch it. Invite them to come. If they're local, invite them to come. I know that my wife's got people out in Washington State are watching our services. Brother Michael Rausch has done some research on our podcast, and we've got people in other countries listening to our podcast. And don't forget, we are still podcasting. Just because we're on YouTube now with video, we are still podcasting. Our services are still on podcast. Find it on any podcast catcher by searching Maranatha Ministries UPC, and you can listen to it while you're in your car. You don't always have to watch. But we are completely online, and we only have one more final step to go, and that's to probably add 1 or even possibly 2 more cameras. And at that point, we are going to begin to live stream our services. So that means it'll be on YouTube while we're doing it, rather than several hours later after we edit. So I just wanted to meet with everyone tonight and get online here and thank everybody for coming, and thank you so much for all the compliments you gave me about the building and how happy everybody seemed to be back in church. I can't tell you how happy I was to see your faces. If I didn't get to you to not shake your hand, and I appreciate everybody practicing social distancing. Everybody that I know of, we do have some masks available. If someone comes and forgets a mask or doesn't have one, we do have a mask available. We have hand sanitizers in our new welcome center. If you weren't there this past week, you missed our new welcome center. One of our monitors is not working yet. We're waiting for a splitter to come in. It's supposed to come in this week, and hopefully that'll be up and running by this coming Sunday. That'll even add to the experience of the visitor center. There's hand sanitizer. There's disinfectant soap in the bathrooms. There are paper towels to wipe your hands on, so you don't have to touch anything to get a paper towel. You can be clean. We encourage everybody to do that. Encourage everybody to social distance. We're asking that you wear a mask when you enter the building until you get to your seat. All the seats are taped off so that you're forced to sit at least 6 feet apart from one another. Families can sit together, but they'll be 6 feet away from anybody else outside their family. So you can take your mask off at that point, because the masks are required if you can't social distance, which we can't always guarantee we can social distance entering and exiting the building. So if you have to leave your seat for any reason, bathrooms, church is over, you're leaving, put your mask on, go to the bathroom, come back to your seat, take your mask off. While you're you can leave your mask on in your seat. You're not required to take it off. You're allowed to take it off. You are required to put it on once you leave your seat or before you get to your seat. Okay. We're just trying to do everything we can to keep everybody healthy, to keep everybody safe. One thing would break my heart is to find out someone someone was sick with the coronavirus and spread it around the church. In fact, I had my friend Ken Bobar called me Saturday, and he said, listen, I've been waking up with a cough. I think it's just allergies. He didn't know for sure if it was allergies. I said, stay home. Stay home. It probably is allergies. But the word probably means you should stay home. Unless you know it's your allergies, stay home. If you have a cough, fever, chills, runny nose, anything that resembles a cold, flu, listen, we don't want to spread coronavirus. I'll tell you something else. I don't want to. We don't want to spread the flu, even if the flu's not deadly. Why do we want to spread that around? You know, it used to be. We used to think to ourselves, "By God, I'll go to church no matter what. You can't keep me out of the house of God." Listen, stay out of the house of God if you're sick. I don't care if it's a head cold. I don't want to catch a head cold from you. Just stay home that Sunday. All right. Let's watch out for one another. Okay. Let me. But we did real everything. Well, let me see. Let's see if I have any questions here. Lots of highs and praise the Lord. And let's see. So thankful for the service. Let's see. This was Sister Denise Miller who said, "I was so thankful for the service. The presence of God was awesome." Yes, it was so awesome. My visitor, she brought a visitor who said she never felt so welcomed walking into a church before. That is what it's all about. Never felt so welcomed walking into a church. And that's with social distancing. That's with no other ladies hugging. I know who she is. I don't know. I didn't know her until Sunday, but I know who Sister Denise is talking about. That's without any ladies being able to shake her hand, pull her in and give her a little hug. None of that took place, and yet never felt so welcome. Church, listen, this is what we have to be. We have to make people coming in. Listen, I don't care what they look like. I don't care what color their skin is. I don't care how they're dressed or how they're not dressed. They're sinners. They're lost. People coming into church as visitors we have to remember, they don't know Jesus. They might be like me when I came in. I came in the church first time drunk. I reeked of alcohol. Nobody gave me a cold shoulder. These are lost souls that we want. How would you treat your son or your daughter who left home because they were so messed up and they were out in the streets and they were living on the streets and they were heroin addicts and drug addicts and alcoholics and smokers and nasty. And one day your doorbell rings, you open the door, it's your son or your daughter that wants to come home. What are you going to do? Aren't you going to grab them, pull them in, love them, bring them in? That's what Jesus wants us to do. I don't care what they look like. I don't care how they smell. I don't care where they come from. And not that this person was any of those things. She looked she had her mask on. She was a very nice lady. I'm just saying, in the event that others come, this is what every person that walks through our doors should say when they leave. I never felt so welcomed walking into a church before. I don't care who they are. I don't care where they come from. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what their past is. We need to make them feel welcome and let them know Jesus loves you. Jesus, and this is what I've always said. I've said this about myself. This is what Jesus told me one day, and this is what he'll tell everybody. He loves me exactly the way I am. And he loves me too much to leave me like that. I was a drunk. I was a drug addict. I was into some very heavy, not heroin, but I was into some pretty serious drugs. I was heavily into drinking. And guess what? He loved me exactly the way I was. But you know what else? He loved me too much to just leave me like that. He started helping me. He started lifting me. He started cleaning me up. He started delivering me. And he made me a different person. We need to have that kind of testimony. Let me see what else we got going on here. It was so great being back. Yes, Misty, it sure was. All right. So, and I'm so looking forward to this Sunday services. And I can't wait to see everyone. So that's our new rule. Okay. Come to whatever service suits you best. I think we'll always find that we are within 25% of capacity as long as we're doing it that way. So God bless you all. If I don't see a question quick, I'm going to hang up. And I don't see any questions coming in. So God bless you. I look forward to seeing you Sunday. If you're visiting with us on Maranatha Live on Facebook or YouTube on Wednesday nights, why don't you come on out on Sunday morning, 8:30 or 10:30. We're having service. If you can't make it to the live service, we're still putting them on YouTube. They're not getting on YouTube now till later in the afternoon because God bless Brother Michael Rausch, who after the service is over, then spends 2 to 3 hours getting all the service edited and the sound worked out so that everything looks first class, and he gets that up online for us. Thank you, Michael, for all the hours you spend doing all the video editing. And so services are now not up till later in the afternoon, but you can still watch service Sunday night. Amen. God bless you all. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Thank you for tuning in tonight. God bless you.